I sometimes catch myself staying up late at night worrying about the economy. And I know, that's some real generational crap to say. But it's true because I am starting to worry as we get deeper into 2024, which is this year. I am starting to see some really concerning signs that we may be sliding into late stage capitalism. And I know, don't shoot the messenger here. This is something that has been going on for a while. It is becoming really clear to me that the average person, which I do consider myself to be a part of, is unfortunately becoming more and more disadvantaged within our current economic system. And that then got me wondering if we're currently disadvantaged within the economic system here on Earth, and what does our future economic system look like in space? So, let's recap. Where are we going from an economic perspective? Well, for anybody looking around and has eyeballs and not living under a rock or on a completely abandoned island, capitalism, baby. That's where we're at. Now, hate it, love it, doesn't really matter. It's the current economic system, predominant economic system around the world today. The problem is that capitalism in space settlement ultimately highlights one of the biggest issues with capitalism today, which is inequality. If you think it's bad today, watch the movie Elysium and then talk to me. Because that's the future we're unfortunately driving towards if we continue to perpetuate the economic model that is capitalism and ultimately late stage capitalism that we have right now. And I'll be frank, that's not a future I want, and I don't think that's a future you want. The wealthy living in an orbital space station, high and mighty and not a problem in the world, with the rest of humanity left on Earth to fight over the scraps? That sounds terrible. Just terrible. And then we're like slaves to robots, and like it's a whole like terrible situation. And I don't want that. So I look forward. If capitalism is not the economic system of the future, what might it actually be? Well, I look to sci-fi for my answers right now, as we're going to have to work on what the future actually does look like with policymakers and think tanks and academic groups. And there's a lot of work here to be done, especially with regards to the economic systems of the future. So, what does sci-fi actually tell us? Star Trek, as I hope you are well aware, and if not, I encourage you to watch any of it. Specifically Next Generation, that was a childhood favorite of mine. But that being said, Star Trek is a utopian future. Post-scarcity economy, post-scarcity society. And Star Trek, aka the USS Enterprise, is just out there doing its thing. Doing exploration for the sake of adventure and improvement of human knowledge and, ultimately, kind of sounds weird, but networking with aliens. It's great. But I digress. A future of Star Trek is a future where equality is far more common and scarcity and strife are far less common. And yes, some of the episodes do deal with some of these concepts, but in general, Star Trek's about adventure and furthering humankind deeper into space and networking with aliens as we do. The second bit of literature that I chose was The Expanse, fantastic book series and fantastic TV series. Really loved how the thoughts and the images and the context of The Expanse came to life in the TV series really hit home. However, The Expanse is highlighting a future still deeply entrenched in capitalism, and you can see the fervent inequality still present throughout the solar system, and ultimately Earth almost becomes this like poor person's home to some degree because they couldn't afford to leave Earth. Now, flip side, you look at the Belters, they're, spoiler alert, they live in the asteroid belt, but they are also not very wealthy. Then you look at Mars and the people on the moon, and there's some wealth there. And you just begin to see these inequalities growing across the solar system and how, unfortunately, the structure of capitalism continues to perpetuate these inequalities to the highest degree possible. As part of that inequality is also the continual observed battle for resources. Resources are only given to those that can afford them. The station on Ceres is a great example, with people basically scrubbing scrubbers to sell the parts for goods and resources and money, ultimately, that then ends up harming and killing people. This is all the first episode. Side note, no, that's not really a spoiler, but it's the first episode spoiler. So if you want to watch the TV, man, if you haven't watched The Expanse by now, I am so sorry. It has been out for a minute, and I really encourage you to get it one way somehow and watch it. It's great, just great. So let me compare and contrast these two pieces of literature for you real quick. On the one hand, we have Star Trek. Post-scarcity, everybody's kind of cool and whatever, and adventure's fun because you can. And it sounds like to me, you can just do whatever you want to do. And it's pretty, well, compare that to The Expanse, where capitalism still runs rampant. There's still a great amount of poverty. There's a great amount of inequality. There's a great amount of resource competition. And unfortunately, there's also a lot, and I mean a lot, of killing in this thing. It's terrible. So many people die. Star Trek wasn't really like that. Flip side, though, like when they run into some of the less advanced civilizations, it ain't great. And it's interesting to see how Star Trek actually compares and contrasts itself against those civilizations. But then, like, other aliens, like the Borg, kind of like to assimilate folks, and that's like a whole different issue. And I don't know where I'm going with that. Point of the matter is, though, what kind of future do you want to have? Do you want to have a future that is Star Trek and post-scarcity, where everybody has everything that they need and humanity is free to pursue what it wants? Or do you want to have a future where you have to still labor every day, every week, in increasingly inequitable conditions, in increasingly dangerous conditions just to live? I don't know. One of those sounds a lot better than the other, but I think reality will, I hope, be somewhere in the middle. I don't have a good solution to this. I am ending this video with no solution. There are many think tanks present today that are working on this problem and trying to determine what a future in space and this future space economy will look like. And there's no good answers currently. Lots of good suggestions, no good answers. And I know that if you are like me and you live in the USA, this year the economy is a hot button issue. And it is something that has kept me up at night, thinking about it both from a now, today, next week perspective, but also from a 5 to 50 year perspective and what it's going to look like. I am curious, though, what your thoughts are. Are you also worried about the economy like I am? Or do you not care and think capitalism's the best thing since sliced bread, which maybe, I don't know. Who am I to judge? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, share with friends, and let me know down below any space settlement concepts that you're kind of interested in seeing as well. Not only do I want to know what you think about the economy, I also want to know what you want to know about space settlement and the initiatives around and thoughts and theories and practices that are currently happening. If there's something I have missed in my videos so far, please comment down below. I read all of them, usually. Also, if you're really enjoying this kind of space settlement content, please check out this video here, and it will continue to tickle that itch for more space settlement information and space settlement conversation. But until you watch that, you keep dreaming about going beyond Earth orbit. Okay, I think that's fine. Oh. Yeah, I really would just like to read it.